Today on Community Cooking, we have guest chef Nikki Leonard's in the kitchen with us, whipping up some more fun recipes. This one's called Puff the Magic Pastry. We'll show you how to make Irish hand pies, ricotta spinach pies, and cream cheese and jam-filled pastries using, you got it, puff pastry. We're cooking with some of the best chefs from right here in our own community. So grab a seat, sit back and relax, because we have another fantastic recipe coming at you in under 30 minutes. This is your Community Cooking. Hi, and welcome to Community Cooking. I'm your host, Maria Prekeges, and I'm excited to have in our kitchen my friend and guest chef, Nikki Leonard's. Welcome.
Thank you, Maria. Glad to be here.
We love having you here, and today I'm so excited because being Greek, I use a lot of phyllo dough. Today it's puff pastry, which is just as delicious, if not more so, and easier.
A little bit easier, yes. Still some tricks in handling it, but definitely easier.
Which is why Nikki is here. All right, we are making Irish hand pies, spinach and ricotta pies, and then the jam and cream cheese filled pastries.
Correct.
Let's start with the two savory ones, more for a meal. Tell me about the ingredients.
Okay, well, we're going to start with our spinach hand pies, or our spinach ricotta pies, and what we've got there is we've got some spinach right there, we've got some ricotta cheese, we've got a little bit of garlic olive oil. You can use anything you want. I prefer the garlic, that's why I get it. And we've got a little salt, pepper going in, and then we've got a holy trilogy of some toasted onion powder, some toasted garlic powder, and finally some minced toasted garlic, which when you liquefy it tastes like just the real thing.
I love it. All right, then for the Irish hand pies.
Yeah. Oh, and I forgot to add with the spinach, there's some onion, and then a little trick on it that you, being Greek, don't necessarily do, a little Parmesan cheese that I've just decided to add. You don't have to, but it's just a nice touch. Now for our beef Irish hand pies, what we've got is we've got some ground beef, we've got some diced red potato, we've got onions, of course, we've got the cabbage, because you can't be Irish without the cabbage.
This is true.
We've got a little bit of the tomato paste, of course the olive oil again, we've got some Worcestershire sauce, some thyme, and then we've got the salt and pepper.
And of course, with both recipes, the puff pastry.
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. Which you're going to give us some tips.
Yes.
So let's start, because it kind of looks like spanakopita. Who knew the Irish and the Greeks were so close? With the spinach and ricotta.
Yes.
So how do we need to start that off?
Okay, well, let's start by each one of us grab an onion.
Okay.
Okay.
She's going to make me cry.
That's right. Well, we're going to do that. Meanwhile, I'm going to kick up our pan, and then would you be good enough to grab me some olive oil?
I can do that as well. And these are sweet onions, which
yes,
I love.
Yes, they are. The Vidalia onions. In season right now, you can't beat them. So
we're just going to give these onions a chop?
Just going to give them a chop. Doesn't have to be perfect. I would say, not huge pieces, but you don't have to make them tiny, tiny either, because remember, when they're cooking, they're going to sweat a little bit, and so it's not going to be these huge chunks. Plus, there's nothing better than sauteed onion, now is there?
No, I love sauteed onions. It's the only way I'll eat them. You have in the past had me try the sweet onions, which are actually good raw. Who knew? Who knew? But I do like the sweet onion for any recipe, actually.
Well, don't you agree, though, Maria, that when you cook it, it just gives it a whole new dimension, even if you do eat it raw?
It does, which I love. I'm a little slower on the chop than you.
No problem.
So we do want to, I like to go in this way, but then not go all the way through.
Whatever floats your boat. There is no right or wrong way to do things here.
I think people think about that too. They're like, wait, which way should I do this or chop this? And I'm like, it just...
Cooking is very instinctual. You just go for it. Let your recipe be a guide. You don't always have to follow it exactly. And with this recipe, I encourage people to play around with it. I'm adding a little bit of Parmesan, which is not on the basic recipe, but I like it. But you can also add sun-dried tomatoes, which make it delicious. You can add a little bit, if you're a meat eater, a little bit of sausage, I guess, or pepperoni. You could do just about anything. This even makes a fantastic calzone filling.
Ooh, that would be really good.
Yeah. So I think we're good as far as chopping for our spinach, because right now we've got really hot oil, and I think that we can do that. We can save the rest of the onions for our Irish hand pies. How does that sound?
Okay.
So we
My
can do
onions
that.
always end up on the floor, some of them.
You know what? That's
I'll move that aside for
that's
you.
totally fine. If you're a messy cook, it means you're a good cook.
I know.
So
But then
messy
I have
is
to
good.
clean, which is no fun. But that's all right. Would
Well-
you like some more onions here?
Sure.
Or no,
just-
are these
yeah.
going to be for our Irish
Well,
pie?
no, we can definitely throw these in. You know, onions are great.
My chunks are a little bigger, but that's all right.
That's-
like you
that's
said, there's
fine.
no right or wrong.
There's no
There
right,
you
no
go.
right or wrong. It's all good.
Get the last few in there.
It's all good in the
Perfect.
neighborhood. We're all good here. Okay, so what I'll do is we've got, you know, a few slices here of just, you know, the skin, and you know, if you have that, no big deal. You just take it out, no problem. It's all good. And so what we're going to do now is I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to stir this, and what we want to get is a nice caramelization on the onions if we can. Chunks are a little bigger. And see, here's the other thing you can do,
Those would be
Maria.
my chunks.
You know what? If you got that though, and if you want it to be a little smaller, do it in the pan.
I do that a lot.
You do it in the pan.
I do that
There's
a
no
lot.
problem at all. And if you feel it's too big, you can always do that too. No problem. But I think that
Those would
if
be
we just
Maria's
do this-
onions.
You know what,
that's
Maria?
okay.
It's all good. You know what the real difference is, though? It depends on you and how you like things. See,
Yeah.
now if you like to have the onions more dispersed through your pie, but if you don't mind a chunk here and there, it's kind of like, what do you prefer?
Yeah.
Do you prefer to have the mashed potatoes that are completely smooth, or ones with chunks?
See,
I happen to
I
like
grew up
chunks.
with them smooth, so now I need them chunky. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
And it's what you're used to.
Well, it's what you're used to, and it's what you like. I happen to like chunky because it gives it a little more textural interest.
Yeah.
But some people, you know, to me, the puree is a little too much like baby food.
Yeah.
So-
I'm with you on that.
But-
Now that we're grown-ups, what the heck?
Well, I'm not putting down anyone who does like them sauteed,
Yeah.
you know, pureed, though. It's totally fine.
All right, so those are becoming
so-
translucent.
Yep, so these are becoming translucent. We're working on these. We're going to get a little color. We don't have to have a crazy amount of color,
Okay.
but just a little bit. And then what we'll do is when they get translucent enough, then what we can do is we can just go ahead and we can, you know, add the spinach to it. And you can see that we're starting to get a little bit of color on them, and so this is great. And so what we can now do is we can, you know, no problem, we can go ahead. I think this is enough because keep in mind, once it's in the oven, once we've cooled the mixture, it goes into the oven again for the puff pastry. So it's not 100% essential that you have them crazy brown unless you like it that way.
Okay.
And
And
if
this
you
is frozen spinach, and I know the big tip, drain it, drain it, drain it.
drain it, drain it, drain it, and then after you've drained it, you just go ahead and use it. And you know, somebody asked me, well, can't you use fresh spinach with this recipe? Of course, you can, but the only thing is, remember, spinach is very watery. So if you're going to do that, even the fresh spinach, I recommend cooking it and draining it
Yeah.
before you know,
And
use
you
it
need,
here.
You need a lot of fresh spinach to
Right.
get this much, because you know it shrinks up like nothing else.
Well, that's true. And keep in mind also that when we're doing our puff pastry, well, puff pastry, the magic is really created by the layers of butter and water. And that's why it has to be kept cold. And so if you're going to put something with a lot of water in it, you're going to
Yeah.
end up with a watery mess, not with your Puff the Magic pastry.
And we don't want that.
We sure do
We
not.
don't want that. So you've added the spinach.
So I've added the spinach, and you know what? Naughty me, I didn't layer all the seasonings, but I'm going to do so now. So why don't we go ahead? This is
Okay.
actually the time. I don't want that yet.
There you
but
go.
what I would like is a little bit of toasted onion powder. And I
There
know
you
we've
go.
got onion in here, but you know what? It's always nice. It never hurts it, especially because remember, we're going to let the ricotta cheese in, and ricotta cheese is really pretty bland.
It
That's
is.
that's another difference between this and the real Greek one, which uses feta cheese, which is
Yes,
considerably
we use
more
a
salty.
combo of feta and ricotta just for the texture. But yeah, feta has a lot of salt already in it, where ricotta is more bland.
Correct. And so we really, that means we really need to season it up, and no problem, we'll do that. We'll get some of our kosher salt in here, a little black pepper, because it never hurt anyone.
No, kosher salt is great. It's my #1 go-to when I cook, for sure.
Kosher salt is great, so is the black pepper. Sometimes the basics are the greatest, but we also want to make sure we get a little garlic going in here, because again, the onions are sweet, the garlic is a little bit spicy. Really good cooking is all a matter of balance.
Yeah, it is.
And
it
so
is.
we've got this, and what I think I'll do is, you know, it's gotta cool a little bit. Otherwise, when you add the ricotta, it's going to be, you know, a real mess. So I'll tell
Okay.
you what, if it's okay with you, why don't we let this cool, and then we can start on, you know, doing the chopping for our Irish hand pies.
Oh, we're not going to finish this first because you already have this. Or do we want to work with the puff pastry all at once?
We want actually, you know, that's a great tip. So why don't we go ahead? I can tell you're just eager to get to that puff pastry.
I am. I'm
okay.
like, if I'm not layering phyllo dough, I have to be working with stuff. But
right.
either or.
Well, you know what? We have the puff pastry.
Okay.
I'd love to show you how to work with it. We also have this spoon that I'm just going to plop in the spinach. We already have some done here, folks.
Because you want it cooled
to
room temperature or actually have it chilly?
Well, yes, both. You know, this is also great because you could actually start this recipe if you're having a party. You can absolutely start this the night before, complete this, not mix the ricotta until later, and then fill your puff pastry.
Okay,
how about
and
that?
we are swapping out cutting
yellow or
boards. I'll go yellow.
Okay. All right.
If you don't mind. These
Absolutely.
are great.
These are great. So what we're going to do is what I want you to do
is hand you the puff pastry.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so what we're going to do is puff pastry. It's not quite as delicate as phyllo dough, but it is delicate. And see, the key is, even though I say, yeah, we want to roll it out, the truth is we don't want to mess with it too much. It's kind of like pie crust. If you overdo it, you're gonna heat it too much, and that's not what we want here.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead for the time being, and I'll tell you what. Here's what I'm going to do. Now, where is my pizza cutter? Oh, I think I see. Ha ha ha. This is where I told you this would come in my handy dandy drawer. Yep. Because check out what I'm going to do here.
Cut it into fours.
Yes,
ma'am. As soon as you get that, I'll get your trash for you, my friends.
Why, thank you. Here, this is for you. So I'll give one for me, or one for you, I'm sorry, and one for me. Well, no, two for you, two for me, okay?
We'll get it together.
We'll get it together at some point. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm just going to very gently roll this out. I really don't want to do it too much. Somebody also said, can you use flour with it? Sure you can, and there are times when I do, but again, beware of too much flour because it'll do that. So just very gently, to do that. It doesn't, if it's not a perfect square, especially with this recipe, no big deal.
Yeah, because we're going to make a little presents out of them, so that would be okay. So gently roll it.
That's right.
Not very much at all.
No, not very much at all. Same with that one.
Okay. And
then if you will pass me the spinach, please, I will show you what I'm going to do. Then you can do it too.
Excellent.
Okay, so I'm just going to make, as the name suggests, kind of like well, it's not the Irish hand pie, but still it's the same concept exactly. Okay. Same for everything we're doing. I'm making almost like a little package here. And so
present. It's Christmas year round here.
That's right.
Birthdays, whatever. Little present.
You've got it, and why not? And so it's all really great. Okay, so we've got this here, and that looks pretty good because see now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold this on over, and I'm going to marry the corners together here.
So you want to put it most of it on the side, on kind of one side of it, but leave a little spare.
Correct, because see what I'm doing now is I'm crimping it, and so you want to leave that so that you have room to expand. Also keep in mind, when we put these puppies in the oven, they are going to expand.
Okay, so you want at least a ½ inch, maybe an inch around.
Correct.
And put it on one side, not like a burrito in the middle.
Nope. Well, actually, let me qualify that. If you want to, you actually could make like a burrito in the middle if you prefer that.
Could.
What you would do is you would put the spin. Want me to show you? I mean,
sure.
I'm fine with
either
way.
Well, crimp with your fork.
Absolutely. And I'll take the rolling pin because I need that for this. But what I want to show also to people, watching us at home is that, again, with this, as long as you're holding it gently and see it's starting to stick a bit, so you have to be careful here. But there's really no right or no wrong. Maria asked, can it be made like a burrito? Absolutely. I'm going to show you how to do that, just so that you don't feel that you're locked into only one way. And by all means, feel free to use more of this, less of this. And another really great thing you can do with this is you can take the puff pastry, if you don't want to roll it like this, and the little muffin tins, the little tiny ones? Yeah. What you can do is you can cut like little squares, you can fit it into the little muffin tin and just put this in the middle.
And not have a top on it.
And not have a top on it. See, so what I've just
makes it just look so pretty.
What I've just done here is, I've just done this. And so I'm just going to, push this, but you're right. Crimping does make it look pretty. Allow me. And so I'm just going to do it a little here.
Two different styles.
You've got two styles.
Of our spinach.
Both great, just a little different.
We're going to put these on.
Put that on there. But first, let's do this. This is important.
Oh, the most important part so it doesn't explode.
Exactly. Because you don't want a spinach explosion. And because puff pastry rises so much, you're going to need something with the steam. So one here.
On foil and parchment paper, which is always great.
I love parchment because nothing sticks to it. It's awesome.
I'm going to grab mine here and put it on and then vent it.
Yes, ma'am.
Vent away, my friend.
Okay. You've got it.
Okay.
There's that
and
one.
we're going to wait to put these in the oven because let's get to the Irish ham pies with the meat.
Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go up here for a minute. I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to go ahead while this is cooling, and I'm just going to go ahead and put this all in. I'm going to let it cool. We'll show it some love later, you know, if we want to with the ricotta, no problem. But meanwhile, while I'm doing this, would you be so kind?
I have some cabbage here.
Yes, you do. Now that's Savoy cabbage, which it might not be the traditional Irish, but it's no less delicious, and I love the texture of that.
And I love cabbage raw.
Yeah. And
I'm the girl who ate her Brussels sprouts, so.
Brussels sprouts are awesome, especially sautéed with bacon and onions.
They are. So what's the easiest way? I usually just cut.
Well, you can cut it that way. You can cut it this way. A way to do it is here. You can take the ribbing out, and then you can just chop. Any way you want to do it is fine.
I'll take the ribbing out.
Yeah.
The
Not
ribbon.
picky
Okay.
Okay.
Then because I'm weird and I actually like my salads all chopped up and shredded and.
Why not? To eat, you know,
cabbage.
the one thing with cooking is there is no right, no wrong. There really isn't. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to finish up chopping up some onion. How about that?
All right. I'm adding to the bowl that you brought in already chopped. Mm-hmm. You want the whole head of cabbage?
We might as well. Just chop it up. We may not use
I
it
will
all,
finish it up then.
but we will do it. Okay.
So, can any green cabbage work, or do you have to be specific here?
You do not have to be specific. You can do the Savoy, which I happen to like. I really like the texture, or you can do just traditional cabbage.
What
no
about
problem.
red cabbage, or I would stick with green?
I would stick with green
Me too,
on this one. Red cabbage definitely has its place, but to me it's more of an accoutrement rather than, it's a little bit denser. So I think this is perfect. It wilts beautifully. It's just what, you know, we want.
All right, so we're gonna take a quick break and then we'll get all of this on the stove and then go to the dessert puff pastry as well. So stick around, we'll be back in 60 seconds.
Calls me googly eyes.
You know you're beautiful, right? You know that?
Even you're beautiful. I got bullied for wearing glasses. Share if you're against bullying.
We put it out there, just took off. 3 million people have shared this post. Don't let bullies get you down. I stand with you. Our whole family's wearing glasses. I wear glasses and I'm proud.
I even have the army on my team.
All the kind comments brought my child joy. I don't feel thank you is enough.
That's
Welcome back to Community Cooking. All right, during the break, Nikki sauteed all the elements for our Irish hand pies. The beef, the onions, the cabbage, all the spices, you know the drill. So that's cooling, but you had made some because, again, we want it cool dealing with puff pastry.
Correct.
So there's our stuffing. And again, I'm going to give you the puff pastry. I have one extra, so I'm going to slowly roll it out just a little bit. This one got a little warm, so it's a little more difficult. I like to leave it in the refrigerator, until you're ready to work with it.
That is the best idea. And see, even here, one danger of leaving cold, some of it can chip off, no big deal.
Yeah.
But you know what you do? You carry on.
You can always carry on.
You
There's
always
no stress
carry
in
on.
my kitchen, let me tell you.
Nope. And you know what? I'm gonna work with them just like this, and they're gonna be
Okay.
equally as delicious. You can make a little design if you want with this later, but right now this is all we need, and it's actually the perfect temperature for rolling out.
Okay.
So if I may, let me just grab that. And you want to do the Irish hand pie now, correct?
Yes. The
Okay.
Irish hand pie. You made, sauteed everything together, starting with the onions, or onions if you're, you know, a normal American.
Yes, it is onions, it is cabbage sauteed together with some potato, and then add in add in the seasonings, add in the meat,
And
add in the, even though the recipe says, well, you do the meat separately and you set aside the potatoes and the onions and the cabbage, you don't have to do that.
I'm
You can
building
just
mine
put it outside.
already.
Exactly. You
So
don't
I'm doing
have
it
to.
just like last time. Leave a little, because I like to do it. You can do it burrito style, any way you want.
Any way you want.
So
Any
put the
way you want.
stuffing in, and then crimping it to not only shut it,
Yeah.
to keep it closed, I should say.
Yeah, and we're doing nice big pies. You can also do smaller ones if you like, but since, see, this is definitely meal size, so you might
This
as well
is meal
you
size.
might as well use a lot of the filling, because it is a very delicious part of it, along with the puff pastry.
And we have our spinach ricotta ones there, and don't forget to vent.
Don't
Vent
forget
your
to
pies.
vent. Please don't forget to vent.
No
You will have
exploding pies.
yes, you will have a mess in your kitchen if you do.
All right, mine's a little messy because it got a little warm, but there you go
No
for
worries.
that one.
You know what the remedy is for that? If it got a little warm, you pop it back in the fridge and you let it cool, because again, the secret here is just you know, the steam and the butter. So just let it pop even in the freezer for a
Meat
second.
pies. All right, now
No
we're going to
problem.
get on, since we went straight through that, to the dessert pies. I love it. So we're going to take the same amount of the puff pastry. I'm going to cut mine in half right here, roll it out a little, and then tell us about the ingredients. It's so easy.
It's so easy. And it's so delicious. All you need, I'm just going to do, it's about, I mean, you can do whatever you want, but this is about 1.5 teaspoons of jam that I'm just going to slide in the middle. And I kind of like your burrito style, so I'm going to go with that. I hope you
You
don't
go
mind.
burrito, I'm going side style.
Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some cream cheese. Now it's nice and soft, so I'm just going to kind of chunk that down. All I'm going to do is
Okay.
put that right down there. And then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to fold mine over. I'm going to do mine burrito style. And what I'm actually going to do is, because it's a little bit crimpy here, I'm just going to go ahead, I'm just going to saw that last piece off there. Makes it nice and tight.
See, very easy. All right, and I'm going to take my
I'm
piece
just gonna
of cream
crimp.
cheese and just, I like to be technical and say mush it.
Mush it, there you go, I love
Mush it on in there.
Mush it on in there. It'll be the best quickie pastry you've ever had. You make these for Sunday brunch, people will go nuts. They'll always be at your house.
Yums.
And now for the final touch, what I'm going to do is I've got a little paper towel here. You could use a pastry
Okay.
brush, but you know what? Failing that, improvisation is good. So all I'm doing is I'm taking this, and see how I'm just kind of, I'm using a technical term, just kind of mashing it onto here.
You're very technical with me, I tell you. Mush, mash,
Mush, mash.
and you vent all of them as well.
You vent all of them as well, and then just a little bit of the cream. What that's going to do is that's going to serve as a conduit, because we are going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead now
you all
and
use yours.
go ahead. We're already
So this
done.
is just your painting on the cream.
That's right. Paint it on the cream. Use a pastry brush if you really want to, but a paper towel improvise works just as well. And all I'm doing is, for a little sparkle and shine, I'm adding some of this.
Or if you don't want to use a pastry brush, of course it has to be clean. Paintbrush, that's what we used for years.
There
you
you
keep
go.
that only in the kitchen. No
Ha-ha.
painting and then using it for cooking, please. All right, so I got that done. I have that done. Now a little sugar.
Sprinkle the sugar on.
Yum.
Pour some sugar on it.
All right, I like a lot of sugar, don't tell. We're gonna sugar it up for mine.
That's because you're so sweet, Maria.
Oh yeah, I need extra hot.
That's right.
All right.
Okay, and then you can
Grab
just...
me that pan over here if you could.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll put you to work.
Yeah,
All right.
oh, by the way, word to the wise, we're not going to bake these right now, but the thing is, you do want to leave some room so they can
I
expand.
was like, all right, but we are gonna put
Here, we're gonna do
those
this.
in the oven. We already have some cooking, so when we come back, my favorite, the tasting portion of Puff the Magic Pastry. Stay tuned.
I'm Anne. I'm a scientist.
Recycling takes a team.
Why don't you let me
And me.
help you out?
Everyone plays a part. Don't trash
I love taking stuff apart and building new things out of it.
what could be treasure.
Pal's my most advanced android.
This is awesome.
You haven't seen anything yet.
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
Welcome back to Community Cooking. All right, the finished product is here. Nikki, I can't wait to taste these. We have our spinach ricotta, our Irish hand pie, and dessert, the cream cheese and jelly. All right, I'm going through one at a time. Here we go. We're gonna start with spinach ricotta. Okay, the ricotta, the spices, you can really taste it. And of course, the puff pastry. All right, I think this might be my favorite because I'm a meat lover. The Irish ham pie. Yum. These would be great, like appetizers. You can serve them whole. All right, I'm going right to dessert. Here we go. The cream cheese and the jelly. I mean, the sweet, the savory. That is good dessert. That is good breakfast.
Absolutely.
That is good anytime. All the spices you use really blend together, but you can taste certain ones in certain bites for the savory ones. Excellent. Awesome. All I can say. You're welcome anytime.
Oh, thank you, Maria. So which is your favorite?
You know, I'm a sweet person. Right now, I wanted something a little sweet, but these two I can't choose between because they are equally great, and the spices you use together all just made them come together.
Well, that's a very nice compliment. Thank you.
You are welcome back anytime. Thank you so much for joining us. On behalf of the entire crew, myself, and of course, Nikki, thank you for watching. And remember, all these great local chefs are right here from our own community, and we encourage you to make all of this at home. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time on Community Cooking.
If you'd like a copy of the recipes seen on this show, send us a self-addressed stamped envelope to the Office of Cable and Community Relations. That's 3350 Civic Center Drive, Suite 200, in Torrance, California, 90503. Be sure to note the show number displayed on the screen. And don't forget, you can find all the fresh ingredients used on today's show at the Farmers Market. Visit the one here in Torrance at Wilson Park. That's located at 2200 Crenshaw Boulevard. They're open every Tuesday and Saturday from 8 a.m. until 1 p.m., rain or shine. And if you'd like to be a guest on our show, email us at communitycooking@torranceca.gov and check us out online at youtube.com/TorranceCityCable and like us on Facebook at Community Cooking TV.